It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction beanie, yo, 2, 3, 9. Day in the neighborhood. My brothers and sisters, hope y'all doing excellent out there today, or tonight, or whenever you see this damn video, man. Hope y'all doing good out there. And I appreciate y'all, as always, for coming on back to the channel and fucking with the bean. Now, we finna go fuck with our homeboy channel that put this type of video out every month on a monthly basis. We watched the one in February, we watched the one in March, we watched the one in April, and now it's May, and it's time to get into another. And y'all know who that homeboy is. Y'all know who he be. Diretrip! Go on our homeboy Diretrip, man. Title of the video: The 8 Shocking and Bizarre Crimes for May 2023. I'm pretty sure all 8 of these crimes gonna be crazy as hell, because Diretrip, he never fails when, you know what I'm saying, the crimes and bizarre and shocking shit he be telling us with these videos. So I'm pretty sure it's gonna be an 8 out of 8 what the hell type of shit, man. But before we get into that what the hell type of shit, my brothers and sisters, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you might need. Get what you need. We back to Diretrips once again, my ladies and gentlemen, and my boys and girls from all around that world. Y'all got what y'all need? Y'all ready to go? Then let's fucking go.
Hey everybody, you know what time it is. Every month I come across quite a bit of weird crimes while researching my other cases. So here's a compilation of some pretty recent, weird and bizarre and kind of dark crimes that I've come across this month. Enjoy.
And get whatever you may need.
Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Scentbird.
Hey, Diretrip love some damn Scentbird, y'all. Y'all got to fuck with Scentbird, man. Fuck with that Scentbird. Alright, take it back right here, and let's go.
Using my promo code, it's only a little bit over $7. Give it a look. Here we've got, man fakes Down syndrome, dupes caregivers into changing his diapers. Here we have the case of a man out in Gilbert, Arizona, who was charged with multiple counts of sex abuse and fraud after he pulled a stunt that would leave most people disgusted and others scratching their heads, but probably both. This is the case of a man named Paul Menshak, 31 years old at the time of his offense, that pretended to have Down syndrome in order to hire female caregivers, poo himself, and force them to change his diapers and bathe him. The man has at least 4 victims that we know of by this point, but it's very possible that there were more. The women who came forward said that Paul would often visibly get aroused while they would clean him up and give him a bath after his shenanigans. Paul mainly hired these women using various online resources to find local caregivers, usually posing as his mother to do so. He would communicate with potential caregivers over text using a fake name and get them to pick him up at various locations around town. Paul ended up getting help from one of the caregivers at least 30 separate times in the East Valley area over the course of one summer. During many of these occasions, he would often insist that his man bits weren't clean enough and that the caregiver was going to have to give it a little more elbow grease. Afterwards, Paul would end up changing hands, ending up with a second and third victim later on in the summer. All 3 of the victims knew each other, and all 3 would talk about how strange he was and how often he would get excited during their visits. One victim told local news outlets that Paul acted very childlike while around her. Another victim concluded that this particular personality trait was probably related to his disability, and at the time, they decided to brush it off. Another caregiver, who very reasonably wanted to remain anonymous, said, he needed shower and grooming, he couldn't use the bathroom himself, he couldn't really be alone by himself. He acted like a child, his whole demeanor was childlike. He would act in tantrums, talk like a child, act like a child. Why would you do that? Why would you make us change you knowing that you didn't have to? Why didn't you give us a choice? After a while, the original caregiver started getting pretty suspicious of Paul's antics and decided to follow him home when he was dropped off by another caregiver. She knocked on the door, coming face to face with Paul's parents, only to find out that no, he didn't have Down syndrome and he didn't need to wear diapers at all. They informed her that their son was perfectly capable of taking care of himself. Paul ended up being arrested. He was actually working for a local school district. I feel like this is becoming a pattern until he resigned when all of this came to light. When appearing before a judge, Paul said that he did at least have a low IQ level and that his parents would have the documentation to prove that. He also promised that he was seeking counseling, but it's unknown if he actually did. Once all of this came out, the fourth victim came forward, telling similar stories to what the other caregivers told in the media. Her account of events was similar to the others and occurred within the same time frame. After a few years of trials and hearings, it seems that Paul has ended up with a slap on the wrist, only seeming to have gotten probation and time served.
Wow.
So here we go.
Wow, I just knew he was going to at least spend, if not a year or two in jail, prison or whatever, at least a couple of months. Dude just got probation for, in my eyes, that shit was sexual harassment or sexual assault or something like that. You know what I'm saying? This dude literally was shitting in a diaper just so he can have women clean him up and he can get his little Petey man on hard while they doing it. See what I'm talking about, man? This shit be crazy as hell, y'all. Let's just go to the second one. That dude, that's crazy.
Florida woman dislocates 10-year-old son's jaw because he wouldn't stop playing Fortnite. So here we have yet another Fortnite-related crime. I wonder if we can keep the streak going with one Fortnite-related crime every month. I guess we'll have to see. Anyway, this is a case that came from out in South Daytona, Florida, in which a woman allegedly decked her son in the face and dislocated his jaw when he refused to stop playing Fortnite one night. One Wednesday night, Ann Perugia, a 35-year-old woman, told her son to call it quits on Fortnite for the night and go take a shower at around 5 p.m. Her son, only 10 years old, later said himself that he forgot to do what his mom had told him. Ann's story differed quite a bit. She said that she told him to stop playing and go take a shower, and he simply continued playing for 10 more minutes. She said that she then asked him once again to go take a shower, to which he responded, no. A press release said, he got up and started toward the bathroom, and that is when his mother got irate and charged into the bathroom. When the two got into the bathroom, he stated she punched him with a closed fist in the jaw. The police report said that not only was the son's jaw dislocated, but that his mother had also scratched him in various spots. After Ann punched her son in the face, she then called his father, Brian Butler, who didn't live with them. She told him to come take his son and go away. Brian, as you might expect, was not exactly happy that she had just punched their son in the face and declared that he was going to press charges against her.
Good on Brian, man, because she need charges pressed. I mean, bro, I'm one of the type that's all for disciplining your kids with, you know what I'm saying, like physically disciplining them. But I'm talking about whipping, smacking them on their ass with a belt or something. You know what I'm saying? Not goddamn punching your damn child in the face. She don't. They need to call the folks. Like she need to lose custody of that of her son for some shit like that. Let's keep going.
When the police were called, Ann confirmed that the two did indeed have an argument about Fortnite, but neglected to mention anything about punching the boy. The son then told his mother, I hate you and you don't do anything for me. Ann then relented a bit and told the police that, alright, she did grab her son by his arm and take him back inside the house, but that was all when it came to anything physical. Given the dislocated jaw, nobody was really buying it. The police report detailed, the child also had scratches around his body that were caused by the mother. This malicious act also caused her son unjustifiable pain and injury. This act has no valid reason to subject the child to that kind of punishment for failing to listen to his mother. Exactly. Ann was arrested and taken into jail without much of a fight. She got slapped with charges of aggravated child abuse with physical injury. She paid bail pretty quickly and got out to await trial. The boy's father doesn't have custody, so he's staying with his aunt for the time being. Now we've got Florida girl, 12, steals dad's car and takes 14-year-old friend to meet online predator.
Oh, we gotta take that back.
And for the time being. Now we've got Florida girl, 12, steals dad's car and takes 14-year-old friend to meet online predator.
That's some scary shit there, man. And I ain't even talking about the stealing car part. I'm talking about these little girls going to meet a fucking pedophile. Woo! Boy, they just don't know what they doing. They so young, they don't even understand what they getting themselves into. I hope that they ain't actually complete the mission, and I hope whoever the predator is in fucking prison as we speak.
Well, we might as well keep the Florida cases going. Here we have a very strange, very unusual story in which two very young girls decide to jack a car and go on a road trip for very concerning reasons. Protecting the identities of the girls, I'll just refer to them as Girl A and Girl B. Girl A was 12 years old. Her friend, Girl B, was a couple of years older, clocking in at 14 to be exact. Both of the girls were recently reported missing when Girl A decided to hop into her parents' Ford Taurus and go off to pick up her friend, and the two drove out of state. It seemed that the two were going on a multi-hundred-mile trip out to Louisiana to meet a man that they were both talking to online, someone believed to be a predator. Needless to say, this immediately kick-started a massive search across both areas in order to stop the girls before they met this man, or hell, even ran over someone or crashed the car along the way. The two were last seen around Main Street and County Road 237 in Lake Butler shortly after meeting up. They triggered a missing child alert in the area, blowing up everyone's phones, and even ended up being shown on billboards and news stations all over each of the states along their path. Girl A ended up driving her parents' car all the way out to Mobile, Alabama, about 5 hours away from where they started.
Bro, ain't that a little amazing though, y'all? The fact that a 12-year-old drove 5 hours, so that's at least 500 miles or some shit. You know what I'm saying? That is pretty goddamn remarkable that she was able to drive a 12-year-old. Wow.
Toward the end of their journey, they stopped at a convenience store to stock up and saw their faces on the news on the television behind the desk. It was then that they decided to voluntarily turn themselves into the police. The police, after talking to them, concluded that nobody had accompanied them on their trip and that they left their homes of their own volition. The FBI has since gotten involved and is now starting an investigation into the man that the two were intending to meet, believing him to be a particularly dangerous individual.
He is.
Luckily, the two girls were returned to their parents in Florida without issue. Neither of them had been harmed in any way. The police urged their parents, and really all parents in general, to more closely monitor their child's online activity, noting that sex trafficking is becoming a pretty big problem, especially in that area. In fact, the FBI still believes their person of interest to be a trafficker, although it isn't positive at this time. But I think it's safe to say that any grown man trying to meet a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old off the internet probably doesn't have the best intentions.
Hell no, he don't. That shit, that was just crazy, y'all, on a whole bunch of levels. But the last level that I'm thinking about is, where the hell these girls get this money from? To keep on, you know what I'm saying? They traveled all that time, bro. What, they had stole their mama or dad a debit card or something? They stole some money? You gotta put gas in the car. They got to eat. My mind blown off that one. Let's go.
Here's an odd one. Navy sailor, 29, and her boyfriend, 25, baited thieves by leaving bicycles in their front yard only to beat them with aluminum baseball bats and post videos of the assaults to YouTube. Here's a vigilante justice case that I'm sure is going to be pretty controversial in the comments. We've got a strange case in which a couple out in California were arrested after a string of very similar assault cases in which would-be thieves were baited into showing up to their home only to be beaten with baseball bats. Corey Kernut, a 25-year-old man, and Savannah Grillo, 29, had recently been the victims of a few car break-ins near their home. This was when they decided to perform a little bit of vigilante justice and take the law into their own hands. According to neighbors, they had said, "Well, screw this, we're going to take the neighborhood, we're not going to let them take us." In order to lure some potential thieves back to their home, they left some bicycles unattended in their front yard. It didn't take long for some hooligans to show up and try to steal them. Corey and Savannah, for reasons unknown, decided to film their street justice for none other than YouTube, actually. In one video, a man attempts to take a bike from the front yard, only for another man, likely Corey, to emerge from the shadows, shirtless for some reason, and carrying a baseball bat. He then took off, chasing after the thief. Police, speaking of the video, said, "They're running down the street, yelling, getting into a fight in the middle of the night, which would obviously wake the neighbors up." The police were eventually notified to their YouTube videos and didn't really have any choice but to go and investigate. The police showed up to their home and arrested the two on numerous assault with a deadly weapon and conspiracy charges. The YouTube videos, after leading to their arrest, have since been taken down. According to the police, each of the would-be thieves were left with injuries, but they weren't life-threatening after being kerbonked with the bats. A police statement says, "In the videos, it appears as if the suspects planted a bicycle in the front yard of their residence, unsecured, and waited for someone to try and steal the bicycle. Once someone tried to steal the bike, the suspects would rush from the house and assault the individual with a baseball bat." 4 bunkies have been identified to date, but it's likely there are much more out there, given that a criminal would not willingly go to the police in this sort of situation. Notifying the police about their assaults would require them opening up that they were attempting to steal. Honestly, I'm surprised any of them went forward at all. Neighbors in the area have said that they were initially fine with the scheme until it started getting out of hand when more and more victims started getting involved. Both of them were booked into the Tulare County Jail and now face 4 counts of assault with a deadly weapon and conspiracy charges. They both later bailed themselves out and moved out of their home. Since then, no more thefts have taken place in the neighborhood. Now let's check out...
Now that one was just weird. It was just weird. Like, why are y'all doing that? Like why are y'all trying to set up criminals? Like, why are you, instead of just letting it happen organically or naturally, they try to come steal your shit, then you beat the motherfucker's ass. You trying to set them up. But more than anything, the weirdest part is they was putting it on YouTube. Now, in my brain, the only thing that I can come up with, the reason they were putting it on YouTube was because they were trying to get some fucking views. They wanted some views on damn YouTube, and we know, and y'all can watch some videos, you ain't seen them on YouTube yet, people would do the craziest shit ever just to get a little YouTube fame. And they dumbass was getting fame and charges put against them at the same time. Let's go.
Influencer and partner who believe in feeding on sunlight are arrested after their month-old baby dies of prolonged starvation. 2 parents of a newborn baby were recently detained out in Russia after some bizarre claims came to light. These 2 were social media influencers, seemingly just some regular health enthusiasts on the surface, but things were much more strange when you dug a little bit deeper. Some of their viewers claimed that their baby had died because the 2 were firm believers in a new trend, feeding on sunlight. This child was born in his parents' home, not having been seen by doctors. He was only around 1 month old when his parents rushed him to the hospital. Unfortunately, he didn't make it, passing away along the way. It has been said that he suffered from both pneumonia and emaciation after a prolonged period of starvation. News outlets, speaking of the death, said, "The preliminary version of the infant's death is severe exhaustion, that the blogger tried to instill his nutrition system in the baby." The Russian Investigative Committee has since launched a criminal case against the couple, and the more specific circumstances surrounding the death are being investigated. Their apartment has also since been searched. The mother, Oksana Mironova, a 33-year-old influencer, is now under investigation for causing death by negligence. Maxim Muti, her partner, has been dubbed a propagandist of raw food. He is a 43-year-old self-proclaimed radical raw foodist. It seems he normally worked as a lifestyle trainer, teaching methods of cleansing the body. People have described him as being a master of working with the body and consciousness, saying that he often healed his clients. He's nothing short of a strange man, though. His social media is full of weird claims, such as the claim that 3D printers have been around since the 1800s in secret use. He, of course, is what they call a breatharian, someone who believes that he can sustain purely on air and sunlight, all without food and water. Atrocity Guide made a very informative video on this strange trend if you want to hear more about it in depth. The 2 had founded a club together that they called The Living Man and vowed to help Russians sort out their personal problems and improve upon their health. It seems that they forced their beliefs upon their kid as well, forcing him to partake in a diet where he would go without food or water for long periods of time and only feed on sunlight.
At 1 month year old though, at 1 month of being on this planet Earth, y'all think that he can go through that? Because it sounds like almost like fasting a little bit what they be doing, what it is, breatharianism, but whatever the word is. But it sounds like it's a little more extreme because they not even drinking water and they believe that sunlight is gonna keep their body healthy. But fuck all that, man. We are talking about a 1 month year old, a baby. a infant, a baby. And why the fuck are they not locked up? Why they being investigated? They ass should be behind bars. They killed their damn baby. I don't know. This one here kind of got me upset.
Anna and her family have said that Maxim was running a sect and that he was the one who forced her into going along with all of this. It's unknown if there's truth to this claim or if they're just trying to deflect as much blame as possible. The mother, for the time being, has been put under house arrest for 2 months. Seeing her lighter sentence, the police may believe that she actually was forced into this. The father, Maxim, was detained later, separately for resisting the police initially. He had posted a video in which he was driving at 224 kilometers an hour, far and above the speed limit. He's now being charged with a few counts of torture. Now, hospital worker uses COVID-19 patient's bank card for snacks minutes after woman's death. Here's a good rage fuel case for those of you who are into that sort of thing. A hospital staff member out in England was working out in the COVID ward at Heartlands Hospital in Birmingham when she allegedly took the debit card of an elderly patient who had just died and used it to go and buy herself some snacks. The 83-year-old woman had just passed away at about 1:56 p.m. Security footage taken from the hospital hallways showed 23-year-old Aisha Basharat using her card to buy snacks from a vending machine just 17 minutes later, buying about 6 pounds, the money kind of pounds, worth of chips, candy, and Coke. Not getting her fill, she popped back over to the vending machines later that evening and spent another 1 pound. Not getting caught, probably getting a little cocky, Aisha decided to use the victim's card during her next shift about 4 days later. By that time, her family had noticed that something was up and canceled the card. The police were called and Aisha was arrested at the hospital that very day. Aisha told the police that at first she had found the card on the ground and it had gotten mixed up with her own card somewhere along the way. I know a lot of you were asking, does she not know what her own card looks like? And yeah, the police felt the same way. They pointed out that the cards were completely different colors and that it was very apparent, even at the most cursory glance, that they were not the same. Not only was this against hospital protocol involving patient property, but it was very clearly a crime, despite her only having spent the equivalent of a few dollars. After a little pushing, Aisha...
Man, it don't even matter, y'all, how much she had spent from the card. It's the fact that you stealing from a dead person that just irking me. You know what I'm saying? Bam her ass. Punish her ass, man. She need to be punished.
Admitted to what she had done. Another member of the hospital staff spoke out to news outlets shortly after all of this came to light, saying that the proper steps had now been taken to support the patient's family, adding, "The trust has fully supported the police with their investigation, and as a result of Ms. Basharat's conviction, the trust will now proceed with our internal HR processes, with due consideration given to the criminal conviction that Ms. Basharat has received." Aisha Basharat pled guilty to theft and fraud by false representation, according to the police. Initially, she was looking at 5 months in jail, but she ended up only getting a suspended sentence for 18 months. A detective at the West Midlands Police Department spoke out about the sentencing, saying, "This was an abhorrent breach of trust and distressing for the victim's family. They were having to come to terms with death of a loved one from COVID when they found the bank card was missing. And then, of course, the realization that the card was taken by someone who should have been caring for her."
Exactly.
Now let's look at...
That's another thing too. She the fucking nurse of the damn lady. You supposed to been taking care of her. You took a card after she died. Some of these people, man. Man, some people in this world, man. I don't know what to say. Let me take it back so we can hear exactly what diretrip say with this. And let's go.
COVID when they found the bank card was missing. And then, of course, the realization that the card was taken by someone who should have been caring for her. Now let's look at woman sentenced to 8 years after beating her own face with a hammer and blaming it on an Asian grooming gang. So let's just keep the rage fuel going today.
How the fuck could you beat your own self in the face with a hammer? Whoo, boy, you had to been on some strong type of something to be able to do that. That's worse than shooting yourself in the head. You beating yourself, man. That shit, that's torture.
Here we have an extraordinarily weird case in which a woman named Eleanor Williams, a 22-year-old out in Barrow-in-Furness, a town in England, was sentenced to 8.5 years in prison after she was caught beating herself in the face with a hammer in order to frame what she called an Asian grooming gang. Now, Eleanor was no stranger to making false accusations and ruining lives in the past. She had accused at least 5 different men of forcing themselves on her in the past, leading to one attempting to take his own life and several others with their lives in ruin. She was only 16 years old when she made her first false accusation, claiming that a boy had forced himself on her at a party out in Barrow one night. A few years later, she was working at Manhattan's nightclub and claimed that yet another man had done the same to her, both at work one time and again at her home after she returned from a late shift. Her accusations led to a few of the men to attempt to take their own lives when everyone they knew turned against them and refused to believe that they hadn't actually done anything. In May of 2020, Eleanor decided to compile a fat list of her accusations into one big Facebook post. She included some very gruesome images of her head, which I can't show here, but believe me when I say that her face was absolutely in tatters. The post ended up getting shared over 100,000 times, sparking outrage on a national scale. This outrage even led to full-scale violent racial protests in her hometown. You see, Eleanor would often accuse men of Middle Eastern and Asian descent.
Wow.
She said that a gang of these men had been grooming her since she was a preteen, forcing her to engage in perverse acts at parties all over the north of England and Ibiza. She even claimed that she was once sold as a slave while out in Amsterdam. One of the men she accused of these crimes, a guy named Mohammed Ramzan, told the court that his life had been hell on earth after Eleanor's false accusations. Breaking out into sobs in the court, he told them about how he felt he was left with no choice but to end his life after it all came to ruin. Not only did he end up in jail as a result of her accusations, his home and business were ransacked in the resulting protests. He said that he received messages from people threatening to force themselves on his wife in front of him in the same way that he did to Eleanor. They wished death on him and even on his kids. Even more threatened to burn his house down as well as his place of work. Even his rental properties that he owned but didn't live in were sacked. After a while, Eleanor's claims were able to be debunked after surveillance footage showed that her recollection of events simply didn't add up. One video in particular showed Eleanor buying a pack of noodles and one single hammer at a local shop, the same kind that would go on to injure her face. She then went back to a hotel, ate the noodles, and apparently bashed herself in the face with the hammer. Eleanor was arrested. In a letter she sent out to a few judges, she apologized for what she called a few mistakes, explaining that she was, quote, young and confused. Admitting that she had lied indirectly, she said, "When I wrote the Facebook post, I never intended causing issues in the community. I am devastated at the consequences it has had on Barrow. I was discharged from the hospital that morning and was in a bad way. I wasn't thinking straight." More of the falsely accused men told the court about how their lives had fallen apart after the allegations. A man named Jordan Trengrove, who was arrested 3 times due to her lies, said that he had vulgarity spray painted all over his home and his mom had to flee to live somewhere else because she didn't feel safe there any longer. Another, Oliver Gardner, said, "When I was told she was accusing me of that, I felt sick. I had to tell my mom and I started questioning myself, even though I knew I'd done nothing wrong." The prosecutors...
Bruh, that bitch here is like, she disgusts me. This bitch getting on my nerves, man. Like, she really disgusts me. And that's one of the worst things I feel like a woman can do to a man. And I'm not even just talking about their boyfriend or somebody they, you know what I'm saying, in a romantic or sexual relationship or nothing like that. I'm talking about just accusing a stranger or any man of being somebody who raped you, sexually assaulted you. Man, you can fuck that dude whole life up, and you lying, you know you lying, and you do that shit. I know y'all done seen videos of men who done spent damn 30, 40, 50 years in prison for a rape that they ain't commit and just fuck their whole life up. Not only you fucking their life up, you fucking their family life up. And this girl right here ain't just was one person she did this with. She accusing, she fucking a whole bunch of dudes' life up. Man, I pray that she gonna get some good prison time behind this shit. I'll lock her ass up for life. If I had a choice, she'll be locked up for fucking life, man. Because boy, this shit here, you ruining the family's life. Like the mama had to leave because she scared for her life. They spray paint the damn house. They calling, leaving death threats. Talking about they hope you and your family die. All that shit because of this bitch, bro. And I just don't see how she can live with herself. How did you live with yourself after doing that, man? Knowing that you ruining these people's life off a lie.
Said that this incident with the hammer would effectively be the finale to years and years of false allegations coming out of her. As the court case went on, Eleanor's claims made less and less sense. The prosecutor pointed out that Eleanor would often simply go on social media and find a list of random names that she would then decide to associate with human traffickers or assailants. She would even make fake accounts to look like the people she would accuse and send messages to herself in order to produce some pretty convincing screenshots. Other times she would get people she knew to send her messages and edit those messages to appear as if they were from others. After a while, the jury came to see that a lot of the men Eleanor named as assailants didn't even exist.
Wow.
While many of the names she listed were real, a good number of them were completely made up. It came time to sentence Eleanor. Judge Robert Altham told the court that there was no explanation for what she had done and that she showed no significant sign of remorse. The judge said that he personally didn't feel that she was as motivated by race as you might think. He felt that by accusing Middle Eastern, Asian, and some white men that she would gain a lot more attention. A lot of similar cases had recently gained attention in the media, and he felt that she, seeing these, decided that it was the fastest way to gain some attention herself. He did admit, though, that we'll never actually know for sure until she decides to open up about it and explain herself. Despite ruining an unknown but significant number of lives, Eleanor Williams was only sentenced to 8.5 years in prison. This was despite the fact that she even went to the lengths of hitting herself in the face with a hammer in order to push her false allegations. Now here's a case that involves a non-violent...
I know I said life, and maybe I was exaggerating a little bit, just a little bit, but she probably got more than 8.5 years, and probably ain't gonna even serve that whole 8.5. She probably be out in like 3-4 years. If that, you know what I'm saying? Like, this shit here crazy. Then that, like, I just wonder why. Like, why are you doing this? To the point where you got a goddamn sitting up there going on Facebook, creating fake profiles, messaging yourself back and forth to try to make the shit look real. Like, why? Let's go.
Violent crime with an animal. Well, violence in the sense of injury, I guess. I can understand that animal-related stuff is a little too much for a lot of people out there. This is the last case I'm going to talk about today, so feel free to duck out if you don't want to hear about it, and thanks for making it this far. So getting on with the story, now we've got Moment, Mississippi woman, 19, is arrested over video showing her having intercourse with a dog. As the headline said, a young woman out in Mississippi has recently been arrested after a video that she posted to social media showed her having relations with a dog.
Okay, Diretrip, I know why he said if you want to go on leave the video, hey, if you want to leave my video, go on leave now. Because this right here is just taking it to a sickening level. The last bit disgusts me. This bitch here making me sick. What in the what? And then put it on social media?
Because of this, she's...
And I got a crazy story to tell y'all after we get done with this too. It just popped in my head. Now we get through, then we get to the end. I got something to tell y'all that is crazy as fuck. But let's go.
Facing up to 10 years in prison. The woman, only 19 years old, is named Denise Frazier. Apparently, she took a video on Snapchat of her crime and sent it to others, which soon started making the rounds among her friends and, after a while, even strangers. One of these concerned strangers sent the video to local police, who investigated and found that the video was indeed real. They found Denise and arrested her on aggravated cruelty charges. Sergeant J.D. Carter of the Jones County Sheriff's Department said, "In my 17 years in law enforcement, this is one of the most disturbing cases that I've ever investigated." He continued, reporting, "JCSD is in possession of several videos that are so graphic that we are not at liberty to release them or even discuss the particular content. The investigation into this case is far from over." This meant that this hadn't only occurred one time. She had recorded videos of these types of incidents multiple times by this point, although it isn't known if she ever sent any of the other videos out. Surprisingly, Denise admitted that yes, this was her in the videos, and yes, she was doing exactly what she appeared to be doing. She told the police that she had been forced into committing these acts, but police countered, saying that there's absolutely zero evidence that anyone else was involved with these at all.
What, the dog made you do it?
After the claims of threats didn't work, she then told the police instead that people would pay her to make these videos, not exactly helping her case. Sergeant Carter said, "We've never dealt with this particular type of case before. There are really no true words to describe it other than disgusting. So right now we're still in that initial phase, right past the first part of it, but we're still looking into it to see if there's more." He even added that some of the other videos may have been filmed in other counties, which could possibly involve other law enforcement agencies in the end. He went ahead and notified the sheriff's departments in those areas. Denise's dogs, yet plural, unfortunately, were taken from her home by the police and taken to a local animal hospital. One of the dogs was a German Shepherd that Denise had claimed was her support animal. Denise was booked into the Jones County Adult Detention Facility on charges of animal cruelty and unnatural intercourse. Her bond was set for $25,000. She's also been ordered to stay away from animals until after her trial. Her charges could see her ending up with a 10-year prison sentence when all of this is over. Hey everybody, and once again, thank you for watching my video. One thing I want to clarify about these videos is when I say that these are recent crimes, usually I'm talking like recent within the past few years. I mean, usually a lot of them are cases that the trials have just recently wrapped up, so the actual crime may have been a little bit before that. I just say that because a lot of people will often point out, hey, this case was from 2021, do you consider that recent? And the answer to that is kind of. Really depends on what's going on. But yeah, if you want to follow me on social media, feel free to do that. It's the only way that you would ever hear from me if anything would ever happen at this channel. If you want to support the channel even further, I do have a Patreon, which I always keep down in the description below. And speaking of which, shout out to the top patrons. We've got Sunrider.
Y'all go for diretrip, man. Oh my God. First of all, I just want to say, this video, out of all the, you know what I'm saying, shocking and bizarre crimes we done seen from him, this the one where it seems like a lot of these people really got like mental issues. A lot of these people like really mental. Like a lot of them, man. Especially the last damn girl. What in the fuck? And let me go and tell y'all the story real quick while it's on my mind now that I'm thinking about her ass again. This probably was, this probably was like 2001, 2002, 2003, no later than 2003. You know, this back when we first started like burning CDs. Y'all remember burning CDs and burning DVDs? And this when we first was able to download music on our computers and download movies that just before they even leave the theaters, you was able to watch them at home on your computer if you knew the right website or what to download it and shit. So long story short, short story long, I can't even remember the movie I was trying to watch or what movie I was trying to download, but I think the program was called LimeWire. If it wasn't LimeWire, it was something like that. May have been something that started with a K too. I don't know. But I know I was trying to watch a movie. I'm probably like 12, 13 years old at this time, you know what I'm saying? So I downloaded what I thought was the movie. I can't remember what the movie was, but I thought I was downloading the movie, right? So it download, then I press play, and literally, y'all, the first thing that pop up is a dog of a woman. Literally, I'm like, what in the fuck? As a little young teenager, man, that shit shocked the fuck out of me. I ain't gonna lie, for a second I did, because I ain't know what I was looking at. Like, even though I knew what I was looking at, it was just hard. I'm like, this shit is real. This is my first time ever even thinking of a human having sex with a damn dog. And so for me to just see it at that point, that shit shocked the hell out of me, man. And that's some shit that just stuck with me for like, that shit kind of scarred me a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. But I clicked up out of that video real quick, and that was that. But that last story just made me think about that. And she gotta have mental issues, man, to be sitting up there fucking a dog. The damn girl before her, mental issues. You creating fake people to claim that they did fake shit to you, and you actually blaming it on real people at the same time. A lot of these fucking cases was mental issues out the ass, man. Then she was beating herself in the face with a hammer. Man, crazy, y'all. The most craziest one to me as far like, how in the fuck? Them damn kids, man. I can't get over that 12-year-old drove over 5 hours, y'all, without crashing, without getting stopped by the cops. How in the hell she knew how to, obey the traffic laws like that? Like, that's the one that's like, wow, dude. Another great video from our boy diretrip, man. I ain't gonna hold y'all no long, because I'll sit right here and keep on talking. Y'all know how I do, man. I just appreciate y'all coming on back to the channel once again. Best believe I'll be back tomorrow. Best believe we'll be back Sunday for Mr. Ballin'. I don't know what we're gonna do tomorrow. I don't know what channel we're gonna go to, but we'll figure that out once we get there. I digress. Make sure y'all hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that for me. And I got a couple more things to say, my brothers and sisters. Love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.